Good evening, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to you, wherever you are in your neck of the woods. Welcome to another edition of On the Ball here on Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and we are going to have an action-packed program full of entertainment, as is the case. And boy, have we got a lot of news for you. All kind of things happening in St. Kitts, around St. Kitts. All kind of different sports happening. And we're going to be telling you who is doing what is happening where, what is going to be happening. Basketball, we got football, we have some cricket. And boy, oh boy, all kind of things happening here. We actually have basketball. They are here in the studios. The plan was to get started with a smaller ball. Started with golf, but these gentlemen are very busy and they would want to come drop what they have to drop, get out of here quick and in a hurry. And of course, we will always accommodate them. And we are going to do just that here. And we go to Studio 2. And we say, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, good night to everybody listening.
And could you tell us who you are for the ladies out there who might be watching and say, hey.
Well, being a married man, I'll go first and let my colleague explain himself later. Good night to everybody. My name is Gavin Bell. I'm the current Public Relations Officer for the St. Kitts Nevis Amateur Basketball Association.
I am Sean Crossley. I am the treasurer of the St. Kitts Nevis Amateur Basketball Association.
Man, say what you really want to say. so what you really want to say.
No, I'm going to say that.
No, not yet. All right, okay, all right.
I say it's a lot.
What I can say? He's also the coach of the defending champs for both the junior
and premier.
Junior and premier. And where are these guys? These guys are from SP.
Yes,
they're from Keon,
Sandy Point Falcons.
St. Paul's. We're just trying to get a better link. Go closer to the mic, Boxy.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Much better?
Okay, no problem.
That should be say something, Boxy, to make sure we're at the right levels.
Testing, much better.
We come like you're afraid the ladies. Yes, so we were saying that the senior and junior champions there from St. Paul's are Keon?
No, Sandy Point.
Boy.
Oh, you mean SP were the best
We're back to this again.
Man, talk the things, no, guys. Talk the things.
We're back to this again. I know there got a couple of teams out there right now that ain't too happy about that statement. So I'm personally inviting everybody who can hear us or see us right now to come out. We have the Junior League going on right now. It's actually heating up pretty tight. I think there are a lot of little nuances in terms of the next couple of games that could really have a big effect on who the champions might end up being this season, as well as come out on Sunday the 10th, because we have both the A-League and the Premier League opening up, and it's going to be a night to remember, folks.
Okay, that sounds very interesting indeed. And let's start with the junior season. I know the senior is coming up, but give us a roundup of what has been happening for the last few match days.
Well, for the juniors so far, we have Youth and Sport Raiders out of Nevis. They're leading the junior division.
You heard that, Biff? That's a Nevis team leading the division.
Yeah. Followed by Rams Foot Sandy Point Falcons. Then we have SL Hartford St. Paul's Tough Nuts and Farm Care Border Uprisers junior team in fourth. But tonight, presently, we have Nevis will be facing ASC Jayhawks. And if Nevis win tonight, they will seal the number one spot. Then we have Sempars versus Hitters. This is a kicky match.
That is
because if Hitters have to win this match in order to make it into the top four for the playoff.
Right.
So if they lose, Boardwalk could enter into the fourth seed by point average.
So 3 teams already into the 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Three teams are sure so far.
Who are the 3 again?
That's Youth and Sports, Raiders, U team out of Nevis. Then we have Ramsfoot or Sandy Point Falcons, which is in second place, and we have
They're the
SL
defending champions.
Yes, back to back.
Oh, back to back. Forgive me.
These guys.
defending
These
champions.
guys
All you Sandy Point people got attitude. A good thing I from
Back to back.
Crabwell.
I hope everybody listening.
And then we have SL Hasford St. Paul's junior team, who was the runner-up for the past 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in the finals with
So it's-
Falcons.
It's all SP in the finals.
For the last 2 years.
For the
yeah.
last 2 years.
Okay,
the
then,
last
okay,
2 years.
The last 2 years.
And then so there's a battle between the fourth spot between Ramsitas junior team and Farm Care
Boardwalk
Boardwalk Uprisers junior team. So it depends on tonight games. You might have hitters in, or you just might have Boardwalk in.
Hmm.
Then we have games on Thursday. We have a game with the defending champions coming up against the one-up on Thursday, but ain't much of decision there. Well, the winner would get the second seed, and the loser will get the third seed, but ain't much of a difference because normally two don't play three. So both of them looking like they're gonna face our first round in the playoff.
Is it the playoff? Is it a knockout or round robin situation?
Well, how it is a knockout. You have best of three.
Oh, best of three.
Yeah,
okay.
best of three.
One
So
play four.
One play four,
two
and
play
two play
three.
three. And then the top two teams going to the finals for the best of three.
And right now, the Raiders out of Nevis. And my father is from Nevis, so either way, I'm having my cake and eating it, enjoying the best of both worlds. So Raiders out of Nevis, Youth and Sports Raiders, they are number one. And I know the director of sports in Nevis, Jamie Hamilton. He'll be extremely glad to hear that. And by the way, he'll be on the program from about 8 o'clock tonight and talking football. So
Hamilton or Claxton?
Claxton, I just wanted to make sure you're listening.
all right.
And my producer here nodding and hear him correct me. So Youth and Raiders won. Rams Footer, SP Falcons 2. SL Horsford's St. Paul's Tough Knocks 3. And
Decision.
The deciding match
Deciding.
tonight for the fourth seed.
and so the top 3 are already fixed.
Well,
Or could one change would any of those 3 positions change?
Well, between 2 and 3, they could change. And if Nevis lose tonight, it could possibly change. It would be
again.
on point average.
It's a real tight race at the
Yes,
moment.
it would be point
okay.
average. If Nevis lose tonight, then Falcons would have a chance to be number one if they beat
If they win out.
if they win St. Paul's outright.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So because I know people would be thinking, well, boy, Falcons and the Tough Nuts, that's a replay of last year's finals. Well, the last 2 years.
The last 2 years.
So perhaps they're thinking that's a game we'd like to see for a third consecutive year in the
Right.
finals. But other people might say, nah, man, we had those already. Let's get
Something new.
But
2
either
fresh
way-
faces maybe in the finals.
Either way you turn it, it's basketball that matters right now. All these games matter, and all these teams coming out to give that.
Well, how you want to put it, one of them going to be back in the finals. So.
Of course.
One of them going to be back in the
of
finals.
course, of course. And that's something, eh? Fixtures are set early o'clock and nobody know how they'll play out.
That's true.
But there'll be persons and in some cases maybe associations wishing that certain teams may end up in the playoffs and the finals because they are of the view that the revenue streams might be greater. Maybe the revenue, the gate might be bigger if it is Sandy Point against St. Paul's.
And trust me, these kids just bring out a lot of
yeah.
the
Yeah.
parents
Yeah.
and the
Their
college
friends,
friends,
the college,
because
the families.
especially the college, they don't have a lot of bragging rights up there.
Yep,
So
yep,
Oh,
yep.
they
okay.
bring out a lot of the kids, especially. Yeah.
And so when are these games going to be starting, you say again?
Well, the playoffs start this Saturday. At 6 p.m. we have the number 1 seed. We're taking on the number 4 seed, and then at 7:30 we have number 3 seed versus the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed.
And it's a best of 3 knockout.
Knockout, yes.
Right.
And then the winners of those two
Two
sets
go
will
to the
play in the finals.
finals.
Do you have a 3rd and 4th place playoff?
Do we have a third? No,
No.
we don't.
Also,
No, first and
technically
second.
losers really bush. They go home and wait for
Yeah,
next year.
Yes.
And then the top 2 play for bragging rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best of 5, best of 7,
Best of three.
Mr. Tree.
best of 3 also. You guys ever thought about best of 5
We do that, but for the seniors.
for the seniors?
Yeah,
Oh,
we do
okay.
that for the seniors.
All right then. And what has been the support for the year in terms of the crowd?
Well, up and down, honestly. Been up and down, we started off slow, but, after a while, the kids them start to come out and support the friends. So it been up and down.
The weather, how much of a factor has it been?
Well,
especially compared to last year.
surprisingly, this year it wasn't that bad. We only had like about 3-4
I think
games.
it was 2.
Yeah. I think it was 3.
3, okay.
Yeah, because this game with we and Sempars was Sunny Point and Sempars. That's a winner game. And the other game, they 3 of them.
Okay.
3 game.
Well, we've had a bit of rain this year, but I guess the way it falls, when it falls after match days and things like that, which would have been good because the place is still looking green, and but that's something we'll have to work out. So when the season, you have the match days, we know Saturday, that is the semi-finals, so to speak.
Yeah, Saturday, which is the 9th.
The night, and what dates are the finals you're looking at? The dates for the finals, you said it's the best of 3?
Well, best of 3. It depends on when they finish. Because if they finish by Tuesday, game 1 is on Saturday, game 2 on Tuesday.
Right.
Then if they finish by then we will start Thursday for the finals. If not, then Saturday will be game 3.
And the two of you are expecting you're members of the executive. So for revenue purposes, you would expect the games to go to 3. But however, I know the coaches of teams would want to finish it early in 2 o'clock, shut it down after 2.
You don't want to be under so much pressure. You don't want to be under so much pressure.
But but there's some teams that built to perform under pressure.
That's
true.
And there's some coaches that can use that situation to get the best out of the players as well. So you never know. And you might find yourself wanting to close out that team, and for whatever reason somebody hits the miracle 3 from 3 quarters down the court, and more drama again. Even more reason for the listening audience to come out and support.
And the teams, a lot of teams get better as they go on, especially in playoffs. And this is the time teams should have been basically peaking.
That's true, because actually I feel like my team started out slow. And right now I feel like they're getting it together.
So that's why you guys not top of the table.
Well, I wouldn't say that. We went to Nevis and we lost to Nevis by 2 points. But I'm not really worried because I didn't have my full strength in Nevis. Some of the guys wasn't there. So I'm not worried. First round, they catch me pretty good, But now my team, more chemistry building together.
So is it that they forgive me? If it's that they caught you off guard, is it that you didn't prep well? Is it that there's a new nucleus in the team and the bonding? What?
Or maybe they took the team lightly.
Nah, I think so too.
I wouldn't say we took them lightly, because actually, going to Nevis was the first time for some of them guys under court. So it was kind of at a disadvantage. If you're accustomed to playing a wing, you know how to shoot and anything. So it was kind of a disadvantage. And not having certain players. I'm not going to say Nevis didn't play well. They did play well. Yeah, they did play well.
They would have to. They took
the
defending champs.
Yes, but I find like, something wasn't going for us because of that. But yeah, it was a good game. It's last by 2, but I'm not going to in the playoff. And when I come to the playoff, that's when things change. So.
the funny thing about it, sometimes it's a good thing not to be the leaders at a certain point.
That's true.
Because if you are, you could very well get complacent. You're too comfortable, and you lower your guard.
Well, sometimes I just, when going undefeated, you feel comfortable. So sometimes I like when we lose a 1 or 2 game. It make you more hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you continue winning, it make you a little relaxed, and you don't really want that.
And you're reminding me of India last year World Cup, Cricket World Cup. They lost 1 game in the final. And that happened to Pakistan a few years ago in the Cricket World Cup. Man, Pakistan really blew out everybody. But it looked like nobody told them where and when the final was to be. So they just didn't show up.
Took the foot off the gas and that was it.
Yeah, they just didn't show up. So I think it's better for teams when they actually lose a game or 2 earlier, they go through. And the hunger is there.
And they learn how to win.
And on the flip side of it, last year in football, here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Rams Village Superstars had to scrabble to get into the Super 6.
And win the cup.
And they had to win their last 4, 5, 6 games, which they did. And they got in, and they end up beating the defending champions.
That happened.
And
especially when your team peaking at the right time.
Exactly.
And there's something to be said about learning how to take the loss and turning the team to a win. You're having your team go through that struggle of in a way feeling like they're bottomed out and turning around and being like, okay, we're going to, because exactly with your example with football and superstars, They peaked at the right time, yes, and they were able to not just peak but maintain that heading throughout the playoffs. I remember the talk, SB. Well, let me don't use that one. St. Paul's was the team to beat, and here comes Village, take them off guard with a shot there, and I think leveled the game, and then ended up a beater to win the game 2, and it was all down to that one game. Could you beat me for one game?
Yeah, it comes down to that, and that's the biggest crowd there was in the park. So that is why I'm certain the executive -1 would want to see a third game. But for these players, what happens now? The youth tournament is finished, the youth league is finished. Do they just sit down and wait until next year?
Well, we try to get the youth team out of the way early because of exams, CXC, and college, and so that's why we start the youth team, the youth league.
I like that. That's a very good idea.
Because coming, after the Easter is focus on CXC and them stuff. But this summer they're having a youth tournament in the Bahamas, which we're looking to take part of under 19 and under 16. So we're gonna be looking at a squad out of this junior league and get them into training, and try to send off a team to this tournament.
And we also have a FIBA 3-on-3 initiative coming along for this summer as well. Last summer we did a few exhibition engagements, and we got our players out and exposed to the format. And one of the reasons why we're really interested into this format is because we believe as an executive this might be a path to seeing St. Kitts in the Olympics or World Championships or that kind of stuff. We've got some really good young players that are doing well with the format, and it's something different. It's something we haven't done in St. Kitts in quite some time, and taken this seriously as well. So there are opportunities and avenues for these kids to keep on being active and playing and developing their skills together.
Suppose while the gentlemen are driving out with the wife or the girlfriend or the lady friend or whatever the case, and you happen to be in some part of the island, I don't know, say Phillips is in St. Kitts and I don't know, Newcastle in Nevis, and you see some youngsters playing, and one of the youngsters, he catches your eye, but he wasn't in the league. And it looks like he has good control, good temperament. He looks like he's national material. How will that be dealt with?
Well, there's something I do all the time. I give them a number. Well, actually, because I was just speaking to somebody earlier tonight about this youngster play for ASJ Hawks 2 years ago. That kid, if you see him play, he didn't look as...
Coordination wasn't really there, didn't understand the game.
And I think it's his mother, his sister, somebody reached out to me. Came to me job, somebody gave him a number and WhatsApp, reached out to me. And every Saturday, I used to go at the court with the guy. And if you look at the kid now, he's a really good player. And up to tonight, I was talking about him. He don't play for my team, but I don't mind helping somebody else. He play for other team, but he has the potential.
But he's already playing in a club in the youth league.
Yeah.
Okay, but suppose he were not playing. Let us say he were not playing in any...
Well, this is his first year? I think it's the first year. This is his first year playing.
But he can be considered for selection because he performed in the league.
Trust me, he can.
But let's say John in Newcastle, he wasn't playing in the league at all, and somebody else, Peter...
But I'm going to be honest. When they come on my ends, okay, like, for instance, the other days, a guy from Hertfordshire reached out to me, say he want to play with me A team. And I tell him, well, I know all would have a team. I don't like to, take nobody from the
develop
community.
The area, develop the area.
Because I know they're just bringing back a team and they're, coming in the league this year.
Which is good
After quite some time now,
they've been out, yeah.
And, he told me, his friend to play with me and he would like to play with me on WhatsApp. So I asked him, he said he didn't know. So these kind of stuff, I would rather, you build your community. Because, honestly, I got a lot of guys in my community who play the game and willing to play the game and want to learn. But that don't say I wouldn't help somebody. But I would try to see, because even if you want to come from my next team and come to my team, I would ask questions first. Like why you want to leave, these kind of things, and, what's going on with the club and these things. Because I wouldn't mind accepting you, but I would want to know the reason why. Because it would help to better the player. And
I feel like what you're asking is if there is an actual mechanism set up to try and capture that type of
exactly.
player. Well, I can't really point to one exactly. I can say though that the basketball community in both St. Kitts and Nevis is of such tight knit that if any young man who exhibited that type of talent,
He would have been somebody would have reached out to him.
Somebody would have taken,
okay.
and it comes down to again the type of involvement our teams and clubs have in their community, the type of work that they do, and they're able to not just identify these type of players, but like Bugsy said, even if it's a situation where they don't necessarily play for that community team, try to find a way to get them involved, to see what that talent level can look like, to see how they can bring them forward. Because at the end of the day, that may be the one guy who gets the number one draft pick at some point.
Yeah. Exactly. You're listening to On the Ball here at Wid FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host. And we start at 7. We're going down to 9 o'clock. We're speaking to the St. Kitts and Nevis Basketball Association. We thank you for listening and tuning in. And you can call in at any time, ask a question, make a suggestion. You could critique the association, anything. The gentleman will welcome your question, make recommendations. If you want to pick your youth squad, hey, we'll entertain you. And for those in the corporate community, we invite you to come on board as a sponsor, the title sponsor for On the Ball, but because that is the only way we can keep the program going. It's with your sponsorship, and we're appealing to you, come on board and do that. 466-0989, that is the telephone number to call. And if you're shy, you don't want to go live, you can call me, Troy Biff Mills, 668-2055. And of course, we will entertain you right here on the Ball. And we go back in studio 2. We have Gavin and Bugsy, Sean Bugsy Crossley out of SP, where the best be. The coach of the senior champions, defending champs, and the youth champions, and hoping to go three-peat with the youth.
And back-to-back with the
and
seniors.
back-to-back with the seniors, but of course a lot of teams would have other ideas about it.
Yeah.
Going back, sorry?
No, like Gavin was saying, today it's more modern, in terms of reaching out to the kids and somebody know somebody, technology. Back then, in we time, it was school tournament. When we have school tournament, I remember to the back of Barcy High, you would see Barman, Little, all these guys there watching the kids them, and that's how they used to pick us.
Recruit, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, So, but today, we're more modern now, so.
The clips online and the Facebook posts and all of that stuff. So again, it also feeds into the system of itself being, we talked about earlier that the junior game, the junior league is really resonating with college students, and they have their own ecosystem of stuff that they talk about. So it also brings that into light, and teams are able to take advantage of that as well.
You spoke about Barman Hanley. He has basically been, in my humble view, the backbone of basketball in the federation going back to the 70s. You heard basketball, you heard Barman, you heard Barman, you heard basketball, and I gather he's still active.
Yes, he still have a team, he still have a team, hitters. Yeah, so he's very active still.
Incredible contribution to basketball in St. Kitts.
They've won it 19 times, 20, I think it's 20 now.
20.
Out of which
the last senior championship that they won before you're back-to-back was hitters,
and they had won quite a few years successively, and that's good. But the point you're making, Brian Lara, a few years ago, when he was captain of the West Indies team, they were to play a test match in Barbados. And when you go to these countries, they hire net bowlers to bowl at the West Indies team, to bowl at the visiting team. And the youngster, Fidel Edwards, was bowling to Lara. I don't know if it was designed or it was an accident. And he really had Lara on his toes. And at the end of the practice, Lara said, I want that man in the West Indies squad. And he was drafted into the West Indies squad. He would have played for a little while. And then he's not around much at that level. And Marlon Samuel out of Jamaica, he played for West Indies before he played for Jamaica. And so I think at the end of the day is, once the potential is seen, nobody could really argue, in my humble view. So if you happen to be driving through and you go to some remote corner, or even on the street, and you see a fella looking good, ball control, decision making, accuracy in passing, movements, whatever the criteria are, and you feel, well, boy, he'll be a valiant contribution to the national team, so be it. But it's wonderful that the program is going on, and that youth program would have started way back when, the 70s, the 80s, I think it is.
I think the 80s.
And it's good to see, especially with the community teams.
I would like to see it back in the schools. There's something I find missing from the school. It used to be very, something good in the schools, but we've seen a lot of the football and the, the netball.
A high school championship.
Yeah, I like to see it back in the school.
We had the director of sports here, Mr. Jeffrey Pedro Hazel, and he's going to be back sometime shortly. And that's always a challenge. Yes, you have volleyball. There isn't any table tennis per se in the schools. And I am of the view, a few years ago, maybe in the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s, I think there was a green paper, white paper, I can't remember, where the proposal was to have school going from 8 o'clock to about 1 o'clock. And then from 1:32, you have what you call clubs
right.
until 4 or thereabout, in which case you have your basketball, your table tennis, your whatever it is, your sewing, your cooking, debating, etc. I like that idea, and I really welcome the day that happens, because it's challenging to fit these in the regular school hours, the regular curriculum. Yes, there is a wellness program, and our year it's a seasonal year. Right now it's the track and field term, and the next term it might be, football is happening, it might be netball and something else. And golf will probably make that argument again. And I had the president of the St. Christopher Golf Club here, Mr. Zeke Percival, and it's the same thing he mentioned.
Well, I think where the sports department needs to do a little more is to collab with these organizations like basketball, football, and these stuff. I think it would help you in a sense. It would take some of the pressure for you and the sports department if you do a little collab, because, two hands.
Right, and it used to be that way too, because I can remember going through the sports department summer camp, and you would end up in these different disciplines, and before you realize it, when you headed back to school, the coach for the team has a list with names of people who went through the basketball program in the summer camp or the football program, and now they start to identify you and say, hey, come, football practice this afternoon, let me see what you could do, kind of thing.
The talents would come. And I know they had the camp last year, and I like the way it was done. It was 3 weeks.
Okay.
The first week they had in Bastia. The second week they took it to the rural east, I think it was. The third week they went rural west, or vice versa. So I like that system.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
So there's the saying, if Joshua won't go to the mountain would go to Joshua. And no doubt some persons from Bastia would have sent their children to all three, and some from the rural, vice versa. And I suspect they're going to be doing it again, and the table tennis looking forward to be a part of that program as well. I know over the years they've had the football, they've had cricket, netball, basketball. I think they had kayaking at a point, golf. They had that, lawn tennis. And part of the challenge may very well be our small population. The pool of persons we have, I'm going to make a guess, 1,000, let's say 2,000 primary school, and out of that, how many sportsmen and women you have?
So so I challenge you with that one. Is that a problem, or does that make it easier? So instead of sifting through 10,000 kids in that age group, you've got a smaller pool that you should be able to identify talent better.
Yes, but the flip side to that, the challenge with that is, let's look at the summer camp.
Okay.
If I like football and I like cricket, both of them are going to play during the same thing. I have to make a choice.
That's true.
But we both would have gone to school with multiple disciplinary athletes.
Well, don't get me wrong. That is still happening. We look at Jazara Claxton.
Correct.
She represents St. Kitts Nevis football, track and field, cricket. And there's a point she has to be unavailable, because once ago too, remember, let's use cricket. Cricket was the first half of the year, January to about June, and football was from June, July until December. The football league just started there, and it's going down to September, October maybe. And so you with your track and field, the inter-school, you're going representing your school in the TDC inter-school coming up. But then your football club have a game, has a game. So you have to choose. Whereas if you had a bigger population, yes, one or two persons may want him. Michael Holden from Jamaica. He was a top-class track athlete. He was also a top-class cricketer. And he made the choice. Cricket, Vivian Richards out of Antigua, football and cricket. He chose cricket. So the smaller the population, in my view, the smaller the pool, and though you're correct, it's easier to concentrate on the few, but in terms of selection, it is a little challenging. But we're going to the senior element of it now. What is happening with the senior? When are we looking to start? How many teams are we having? How many games are going to be played in Sandy Point and St. Paul's and in Nevis? I don't know. Tell us about it.
Well, this Sunday, the Senior League open.
Sunday coming?
Yeah, this Sunday, the 10th of March. Opening night, we have SL Hasford, St. Paul's Tough Nuts coming up. Newcomers to the Premier, which is Youth and Sport Eagles out of Nevis.
Another Nevis team.
Another Nevis team. And then we have the defending champ, Sol Sandy Point Falcons, coming up against newcomers again, the champions last year of the A Division, the Kayan Lions. So this coming Sunday, starting at 6:30 p.m.
And the Lions will be roaring. They've been up there before, haven't they?
Yeah, they
Yes.
they did.
I think they sat out a season and they came back in the A and proved to be quite damn. I don't think they dropped a match last season.
No, they
were undefeated.
They're undefeated last
Yeah.
season.
Okay. Have they won the championship at the national level, the senior level?
Sometime back, I think. Yeah,
I remember way back when.
when they had ball and them.
I think
guys.
like early 2000s or something.
Yeah, I remember sometime. So how many teams are having in the...
Well, this year we have 7. Normally, we have 8 Premier teams, but because of unfortunate situation, the St. Peter's Runners will be out of the Premier Division this year.
Yeah.
So is it that they played in the first division? Is it?
No,
They're not fielding a team. They're not fielding a team
this year. I was actually a part of it last year, but
with that being the case, any consideration was given to bringing up another team?
Well, we already had 2 teams came up.
Yeah, that's where youth and sports were able to advance to the Premier Division.
But
They were the runner-up in the A last year.
What about the third team to fill that spot?
Next year for that.
we didn't think that was necessary.
No, because you see, until registration, we won't know that you won't be a part of it. Because you pay for subscription for a club, which they did, to be an active member club. But then when time to register
for the league,
that's what.
Oh, okay. How many national players would have been in the St. Peter's Runners?
Probably about 2.
Are they going to find themselves with other teams?
Well, unfortunately, one passed, and I know one of them in another team.
Yes.
Or in another team. Okay, so he'll still have the opportunity to go. And
well, I know some of them already take transfers to other team.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, you don't want to sit down and wait for another year. As community-minded as you may be, and the games at 6 o'clock, you mentioned 6:30.
6:30. We start the youths earlier. Saturday is going to be 6 and 7:30. Sunday 6:30 and 8 o'clock.
Okay. And any fees or the gates would be wide
well,
open?
$5 Saturday for the youths and Sunday is $10.
Sunday's $10. That's interesting. $10 in this day and age.
But look at what you're getting.
We want to get people out.
I'm thinking it should be 50.
You're getting top quality basketball. Exactly.
That's why it should be more.
It should be. But you're getting top quality basketball for the federation.
But we still invite sponsors. We sponsors to come on board. I know it's kind of challenging in these times, but
right. And we'd like to thank the persons who've stood by us throughout the years, being like entities like National Bank, Flow, and a few others who've really been able to help us put on these leagues, because it's not an easy thing. It's not a free thing to do. It's something that actually costs dollars to get
quite a few thousands.
To get off the ground. I mean, we'd also like to thank our officials who actually come out and do a really good job in trying to get our games and get us through the season. As well as the club sponsors who've done quite a bit. SL Harsford's. Sol,
A&K Minimart. I could talk about mine. I could talk about mines. Rams, Foot, A&K Minimart, and Sol.
Farm Kia,
Farm Kia. Then you have
these are the entities responsible for making sure, because it's not just the senior teams that they sponsor. It trickles down to the junior teams and the A teams, and the contributions that they make really put our players in a good position to participate every year.
And you cannot have a national association if you don't have any clubs.
Correct.
And if the clubs don't get sponsorship, they may very well not be there. And so a particular discipline in the sporting or anything
Might disappear.
might just disappear, poof, like that. And it's really a wonderful thing when entities come on out and sponsor the clubs and as well as the National Association, because it is very, very expensive. You mentioned you're going to the Bahamas. We sent a table tennis team to Dominica for the OECS Championships in December, which was returning for the first time since 2011.
Wow.
And it was like 40-something thousand on the easy sale for 7.
Wow.
6 players and a manager. When you look at the tickets were running like
Yeah,
2007 something, 2008.
Airfare now is
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. When you're throwing uniforms on that,
And equipment and,
yes,
and per diems and
exactly, it runs very, 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 very expensive. But going back to the senior,
if I could as well mention one other I don't want to say quiet, but very silent partner who's always actually been there for us as well is the National Olympic Committee. They too have been, very instrumental in making sure that, basketball in the federation is maintained. As a matter of fact, they had their Women in Sports Summit where most of the federations took part, but we want to big up our colleagues, Julie Leibert and Jakita Thomas, who were participants in that as well.
so when are going to be the match days for your senior section?
Well, the senior league normally, the premier is on Thursday and Sunday. Thursdays and Sundays. For the A division is normally Tuesdays and Saturdays. But until like the juniors, we're wrapping up the juniors, because normally the juniors finish before the senior league start.
Okay, that's sounding good. And the times would have been the same 6:30?
6:30 and 8 o'clock.
And 8 o'clock. So double headers every night.
Every night.
That's Thursdays and
we have
Sundays.
We have 8 teams in the A division. We have 8 teams. We have Old Road, who is back. Old Road Ballhawks. Then we have ECCB Bank, who is also back.
That's it,
they've been out for about 2 years, 3 years. They're also back. We have Hitters A team. We have Sandy Point ENK Minimart, Sandy Point Falcons A team.
Keon is feeling an A team.
Keon also feeling an A team. It's good to have A team, because when some of these guys come from juniors, I know all them is not on the premier level.
Right.
So to have an A team is good to keep them around. So yeah, we have we have ASC Jayhawks, and we have ASC Wolfpack, and we have Fire and Rescue.
Okay.
Yeah, Fire and Rescue.
That is wonderful.
And it should be an interesting time in the A division this year again, because some of the teams not competing and just some of the transfers that we've seen over the off season, the balance of power with the original Keon team who would have moved up not there anymore. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out.
That's very interesting. The teams in the Premier, you said there's 7. Who are they?
The team in the Premier are the defending champs, Sol Sunny Point Falcons. Then we have SL Hasford St. Paul Stuffnuts. We have Farm Care Boardwalk Uprisers. We have Rams Hitters. We have Keon's Lions. We have Youth and Sports Eagles out of Nevis.
That's 6. You're missing one. Youth and Sports.
Hitters?
And ASC Wolfpack.
Wolfpack.
Yeah, Wolfpack.
Would the Wolfpack
it would have been St. Peter's want us to make it the 8th, but unfortunately not.
But they're out. And how long is this season going down to?
Well, now the season finished about like June, July.
We're doing 2 rounds back.
2 rounds basketball.
And then the playoffs.
And how many in the playoffs? 4? Is it a
4.
round robin?
Top 4.
We do top 4 round robin.
The Premier is a round robin?
Yes.
Top 4, yeah.
And if the top 2 advance, and then they play best of 5.
And no third and fourth place playoff?
No.
What about the A-League?
The same thing. And then they add the top 2 advance to the Premier.
And the top 2 and the top 2 would go down? So why I'm playing with...
Well, this year only 1 would go down, because we have 7. And then 2 would go up.
2 would go up. Okay. To make the 8.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a player in Sandy Point Futa Falcons. What happens? What could I look forward to at the end of the season?
After the junior season?
No, the senior. I'm in the senior team. And I'm boxing watching by
No. The senior,
I'm just using me as an example.
But the seniors is actually sponsored by Sol. You know, just across the bay road.
Okay.
The answer is actually sponsored by Sol. We're looking to defend with title. We actually went undefeated the last season during both regular season and playoff. We also take a tour to Montserrat, where we won our games in Montserrat also. We went undefeated in Montserrat. So we're looking back to back to repeat the season. We lost 2 players to Old Road. You know, they're actually from the community. So I support that. And then 1 to Fire. So still good team, still have good players. You know, I still have youths, you know, that come up from other teams. So the system, we have a really good system. So from juniors, we have A division and we have Premier. So it's always keeping them in the loop. So it's a really good system. But for the seniors, we're looking to run it back again and go back to back.
At the end of the season, are there any competitions on the horizon for the senior team, the junior team? You mentioned the
Bahamas.
The Bahamas,
And
but
the
what?
Chantry.
Uh-huh.
Well, normally we have the under 25 squad. Actually, we're supposed to be having Montserrat and Stacia
Here in St. Kitts?
the end of this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
We-
the
there's
Easter
some-
weekend.
There's some interesting stuff happening there.
Yeah.
It might develop into
Maybe I leave with
a tournament or invitational or something like that.
Yeah. So this is something we need to bring back though, because I remember my days playing for the national team. You know, we used to go to a lot of Leeward Island tournament and these stuff. So it's been out for I think we ain't had none in quite some time.
But how helpful is the Leeward Islands tournament to, 1, basketball in the Leeward Islands on a whole, and 2, basketball players here in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Well, it give you exposure.
Yeah.
More people to see, you know, you have scouts so to be at these tournaments. So you get opportunity to reach somewhere, to reach
The talent
out there.
identifier.
Yeah.
What about the OECS?
Well, they used to have an OECS tournament too.
Mm-hmm.
They used to, that also quite some time.
What was the structure back then of the OECS? Was it the champion for Leewards play champion Windwards?
No.
No,
Island,
I think
each
island forward
OECS
the
island
national team.
produce their own team. Yeah.
So any consideration being given for that?
Well, first they have to start by bringing back the organization.
Yeah.
Same thing for Liba. They have to start back, and then from there they could go. You know, bring that structure back together, and then go forward in having the tournament.
And let's be clear. We just talked about getting local sponsorships, which we are all hoping to get, and hoping, you know, entities come on board. Those are the type of sponsorships that also lend into us paying those fees to get those other regional groups back on track and that kind of stuff. So putting the investment in isn't just helping, you know, your local team. It could potentially set up the structure to get that local kid who has the talent but just doesn't have the exposure, the type of eyes on his game that would be necessary.
And you know, as you said, the AFAs back then when we used to play for, when I used to play national juniors and national team, and we got Tatola $200 and something dollars.
Exactly.
St. Martin $100 and something dollars. Now it's almost $1,000. So it's that's one the killer too.
The three of us could have been liming on 4th Street with my producer Jamster, and we decided, hey,
we're going to St. Martin this weekend.
As a matter of fact, some persons will say, let's go airport and go St. Martin. Now $100 and something dollars, $200. You're lying for the day and you come back up. But now when you go, you have to be strategic, 1,000 plus. And some persons are even talking about, well, there's a ferry service between St. Kitts and St. Martin, Stacia and Willa, but people are talking about it happening throughout Antigua and the Windwards.
Yeah, but I know Antigua have
you know, because
Antigua have one go to Martinique and yeah, I think they have a
way back in the day they had that service, you know, took you all the way down to Trinidad in the south and Jamaica in the north, but that's 1976, maybe even 67.
Well, a ferry service just started in between Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados and Guyana, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
And carrying vehicles as well.
Yeah.
Seating like 400 people.
And I think Antigua also have one. I know I have one from Antigua to Montserrat to.
Yeah, that has been in place for a long
I think
time.
you have one from Antigua to either Guadeloupe or Martinique, one of them also.
Going down. So we could actually have, it might take you 2 days to go back at the end of the day.
Yeah, you get
It
there
won't
for a
so-
reasonable price.
Yeah, actually, when my team went to Montserrat, it's ferry. It's on the boat,
Yeah.
so charter, and it's way cheaper than the airfare.
And in my view, I believe it's a lot more fun on the boat. Eh? It takes a
If,
little longer.
if you got your sea legs, yeah.
Yeah, but some persons not into the sea business. You're listening to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and right now we're talking basketball. And again, we encourage you to call in 466-0989, or you can send me a WhatsApp 668-2055. You can speak to the members of the St. Kitts and Nevis Basketball Association live and direct. Make any suggestions on how they can improve the competition, the sporting complex, or even commend them on the season they've had, commend them how the youth tournament is going. Ask any hot and burning question, and I'm sure if they're not able to answer, they'll probably do some research and get back, or perhaps send the appropriate people. And it's 466-0989 or 668, my number, 2055. You could WhatsApp us. And again, we invite you listening in the corporate entity to come on, corporate community, to come on board and sponsor us here on the Ball. Win FM brought to you every Tuesday night from 7 to 9. You mentioned the sponsors and the subscription. If I'm going to use St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association, and I'm the president, the SKNOC, the annual subscription, $150. The Caribbean Regional Table Tennis Federation, $150. The ITTF Americas, that's with the US and Canada, Central America, $150. The ITTF, the global body, $150. So we're talking that's 3-450.
That's 12, 1350 somewhere. around there.
Exactly. So
One ball is after 1400.
yeah, and so you have to pay your subscription to be in anything.
Right.
And right now, the Table Tennis Association, we're in discussions with the ITTF for having an Easter camp.
Okay.
And level 1 coaching as well as an Easter camp. And we're looking at in the Easter holidays. So we're going to be finalizing that sometime this week. And we're looking at a level 1 coach preparations for 30 coaches, 30. Wow. And including PE teachers in school and those teachers who have the technical abilities for their programs, which again is challenging the volleyballs, the netballs, the basketballs, etc., etc. And as national associations, we would really like to have these programs throughout the year, because when you play table tennis for 3 months and you have to drop that now to go to basketball for 3 months, by next year come around your 3 months, unless there's a strong program in the community, which we are not doing the best with, especially with the minnows, so to speak. So we have to be mindful of that.
We have to fight with the video games and the tablets.
That too. Ouch. That hurts.
Yeah,
that is a fact.
We have to.
That is a fact.
to.
Children
We
go
have
home,
to.
lock up they get home 3:30, 4 o'clock, and 10 o'clock they're in the video game.
Once ago when you reach your middle, you're well up. Cause you want to make sure you reach on the court. Oh,
Yes.
Otherwise, you ain't gonna be in the first 5.
Exactly. You run away. You run down the pasture, you play football, barefoot, stump it now and then you go back next week still, play cricket with lime, orange, whatever. But you continue playing. But nowadays, I'm really heartened to see youngsters, be they 2, 3, or 4, playing in hot sun, with whether it's football, whether it's cricket, even basketball. Because there are a few hoops up and down in the streets and corners and things like that. And it's really impressive to see. So remind us again, gentlemen, about what's happening with the youth championship and then the senior.
Well, this Saturday, come on out to Basketball City, Victoria Road. At 6 p.m., we have the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed. And then at 7:30, we have number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed. This coming Saturday is only $5 to get you in. And then on Sunday, with the Big Boys Rumble, that's the opening of the A Division and Premier League, the senior leagues. At 6:30, we have SL Hasford St. Paul's Tough Nuts coming up against Youth and Sport Eagles out of Nevis. Then we have the defending champs, Sol Sunny Point Falcons, coming up against Keyon Lions. So these are only $10 to get you in. Stack bar, popcorn, hot dog will be on sale. Come on and support. Fun. It's gonna be a fun night. Come on, enjoy some lovely basketball.
And if I may, I wanted to speak to something that we briefly touched on, but we didn't really get a chance to go into. Recently, we had our annual general meeting, and a lot of the clubs came in, and we listened to the things they had to say. It weren't necessarily complaints, but things they said that we could do better. And in response to that, what we were able to do is to put on a clinic where we discussed updates in the rules, the FIBA rules, which would come out in 22, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we also did a workshop with our team representatives about how you deflate conflict and how you approach respect towards the game and towards each other and that kind of thing. And I think it was very well received. And we're going to be trying to do more sessions like that and provide, that type of capacity building for our teams and for our officials. I do believe the desk officials as well were able to benefit from that program.
And
so
referees.
All in all, and to be fair, and let me give a shout out to our desk officials and our referees as well, who are some of the best in the Caribbean. I know our teams traveled quite a bit, and you see the you definitely see the difference when you go out and you have to battle in some of these other leagues out there. Honestly. So again, shout out to them because they do a good job.
Honestly,
and it's a thankful job, a thankless job sometimes.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't get on the referees that time, but going overseas and see some of these referees, we got one of the best referees. Trust me.
So once again, just inviting everybody out on Sunday. As well as on Saturday, come and see the playoff picture unfold in the Junior League, as well as the start and the beginning of the A and the Premier League. Where again, all bets are off on who might be the sitting at the top at the end of the league. Although we know some people in here have the way they would like it to turn out, but it's really all up for grabs. And I mean, $5 on Saturday, $10 on Sunday. You get to see a great basketball product.
And your sponsors again?
For the
they would be back.
Senior team, they're going to be the senior leagues. Are going to be the Premier League. I think we're going to
Premier National.
I think it's fair to say National Bank is going to be back on board. They are usually our sponsor, and if I'm not mistaken, they'll be coming back on board again this time. So you'll see the National Bank. Hopefully, you'll see the National Bank Premier League coming out and branding for that shortly.
We didn't have any for the juniors for quite
some time,
for past
actually.
3 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Troy. Viewing from Texas. Quite informative sports program with basketball administrators. Commendable. That's just a comment I received on WhatsApp, and I thought I'll share with you.
Thanks.
That's good.
Appreciate that.
And because we have listeners all over the world, some may not call in, but they're always listening.
To that point, we're also going to be trying to stream games again this year. Unfortunately, unless we get a sponsor, which you know how it works, it's going to be difficult to stream every game. But you're going to at least have one match day a week, meaning 2 games for each division, each league, and you should be able to see some of the premier matchups streaming to you live. But this time we're not going to YouTube and Facebook. You'll be going to the SKNABA website, which is currently being built and should be launched very shortly, and you'll be able to see all your matches there. With rebroadcasts on local television.
Thanks a lot, gentlemen. It's been a tremendous pleasure having you here with us and on the ball at Win FM. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
We congratulate you on the efforts that the St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Basketball Association has been doing over the years. And I know there was the merger you would have had between St. Kitts and the Nevis. Mm-hmm. Congratulations on that. And the Youth League that is currently winding down. And we hope it's a very successful league. I'm not going to say that I would want to the Fruta Falcons out of SP to win it. I cannot say that. I wouldn't say that.
But
really.
Wait, you didn't say that already for the
But I wish a very high standard, a very competitive season. And I've said before, I believe when you have different champions over a period of time, to me, it suggests that that particular sport, vis-a-vis the basketball, it's improving. When you have, unfortunately, one team winning, you begin to wonder, where are the other teams? However, it's a good thing for the clubs and the teams.
I actually did that at time, 5 feet in juniors.
Okay.
Actually, from 06 to 2010. I'm coaching long time now, so.
So congratulations, gentlemen, and we wish you all the best. And we're going to have you here again at some point to give us an update how things are going. And all the best to you and the Basketball Association and the players, and hoping, of course, that you're injury-free and, of course, no issues.
And again, thanks for having us. I know we made contact kind of late this week, and you were able to get us in. And so we do appreciate the time. We do appreciate Win FM for allowing us this spot and being able to come on with you and speak about what's happening with the association.
Well, the thing is, we had 2 other guests line up, and they were not able to make it in the end. They reformed. So they slipped out and you slipped in and right in the spot.
There we go.
That's good.
There we go.
Good timing
meant to
because
be.
this week is when we start.
Definitely.
So good timing. And quite some time now we've been trying to come, but unfortunately, I think it was sicker time. Man.
Yes, and the other times the madam had you guys busy and things. All right, gentlemen, thanks a lot. Best wishes and have a successful season.
Okay, thanks much.
You're listening to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and let us go and have just a short break, and we'll be right back. Thank you for being with us here on the Ball, Win FM 98.9. I'm Troy Biff Mills, your host. We just had the St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Basketball Association. We are going to get into a bit of football. We already have the Mr. Jamir Claxton out of Nevis. He is the chairman of the competitions committee for the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association. But just before we go to Jamir, we are going to just get into a bit of golf. We try to bring you all the various disciplines here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a bit of football, cricket we would want to squeeze in well, because we have the CG, West Indies Cricket Board's CG, or Cricket West Indies, I should say, CG Insurance women's 50 overs happening here in St. Kitts. First round went on Monday. Second round is happening tomorrow. There are some 6 teams participating. We're going to give you some scores on that. So let us get into Mr. Zeke Percival, president of the Royal St. Christopher Golf Club.
The finals are now set for the Starboard Knockout Golf Tournament. After Saturday, in the semi-finals, we had in the first match, Zeke coming up against Clayton Harrodale. Zeke Percival victorious, beating Clayton Harrodale 2-1. The second match in the semi-finals, we had Michael Davis coming up against Kevin. Michael Davis defeating Kevin 3-2. So the finals is set for March 10th between Zeke Percival and Michael Davis for the Starboard Knockout Golf Tournament to be played at the Royal St. Kitts Golf Course on March 10th. So March 10th is the Starboard Knockout Golf Tournament. Zeke Percival coming up against Michael Davis.
Thank you very much, Zeke. And we have been mixing balls. We went from big balls in terms of basketball to the small balls in terms of the cricket, the golf, that is. The smallest ball there is, if you're not excluding pitching marbles, which is even a very, very small ball, so to speak. And we're going to go back to a big ball. But before we do that, let us brief you on the Leeward Islands cricket. Trinidad and Tobago women, they were 185 from 48.2. And that game was played in Connery on Monday versus the Windward Islands. They made the Windward Islands 186 for 8 from 49 overs. And that was really interesting because the Windward Islands, they were really scrabbling at a point. We had a 59 coming from Kirby batting at number 8, 59 from 40 balls, 8 fours, 1 6. There were 20 extras, 185 all out, Trinidad and Tobago. And the Windward Islands, 186 for 8. All the ones being scored on the back end, actually. We're batting at number 6. Jay Glasgow had 62 from 115 balls. And put that in perspective, that had to be a recovery because the opener 22-2, 3-7-0. So all those 5 batters went with only one getting into double figures. And N. Crafton would have had 45 from 76 balls. Glasgow had 7 fours. Crafton had 4. And P. Etienne, a very popular name in sport, not just cricket, sport from the Windward Islands, 23 from 22 balls. And there were 20 extras, 186. It was the Windward Islands. The bowling for Trinidad and Tobago saw K. Ram Harak. She was here last year, very good player. 10 overs, 2 maidens, 19 runs, 2 wickets, the pick of the bowlers. 1 wicket going to Sugrim, another young lady, Samaru, Ramnath, and Kirby, all of these returning from last year. And in terms of the Windward Island bowling, the pick of the bowler was opener C. Afi Fletcher, the captain, very experienced. 10 overs, 2 maidens, 40 runs, 3 wickets. Etienne had 1, James had 1. Windward Islands walking away with that victory, really after being in some dire straits, 80-something for 5, I think they were. And they went on to win that game. At Warner Park, the Jamaican ladies, they won the toss and batted, and they made extremely light work of the defending champions, Barbados. Barbados, short of 2 key players, Shakira Selman, who is assisting with commentary this year, she's not on the field, and their captain, Hayley Matthews, she is out on cricket duties, and they've introduced some under 19 players and perhaps a few technical approaches may have yielded better decisions, better results. So Jamaica winning the toss. Stephanie Taylor, she had 99 from 99 balls, 11 fours, 1 6. And Chanel Henry and Taylor batted at number 4. Chanel Henry, she batted at 693 from 69 balls with 3 9 fours and 9 fours and 4 sixes. The two that really held it. And they brought the Jamaicans from 40 for 3 up to 289. The bowling for Barbados had Alia Lean, 8.5 overs, 24 runs, 3 wickets. Opener Gordon had 10 overs, 35 runs, 2 wickets. Their turn at the crease. The Barbados women, they were only able to muster up 89, all out in 37.4 overs. 2 players getting into double figures. Opener, A. Calendar, 14 from 48 balls, and she was one of the under 19 players I was speaking about earlier. And N. Cumberbatch, 22 from 40 balls, another of the under 19 players, and those were the top 2 scorers, the only 2 players to get into double figures. And the bowling for Jamaica saw Vanessa Watts, a spinner, 10 overs, 2 maidens, 24 runs, 2 wickets. And Stephanie Taylor, another off spinner, 6.4 overs, 1 maiden, 16 runs, 2 wickets. So the Jamaican team winning by 204 runs. And in last set of results, this is something is actually an error here. I'll have to confirm that. I'll have to get back to that in a moment. But we go straight to our Zoom and we say goodnight to Mr. Jamie Claxton. Pardon me, I'm giving you big cricket status. The chairman of St. Kitts and Nevis's competitions committee. Good night, Jamie. How are you, sir?
Good night, Mr. Mills. I'm doing fine. It's a pleasure to be on with you this evening.
Thank you for joining us. How is Nevis?
Nevis is nice. Nevis is nice.
St. Kitts sexy, Nevis nice.
Nice, yes.
And talk to us about football. You had big opening here at Warner Park on Friday last, kicking off the 2024 season, big sponsorship. Let's start by the start of the season.
Yes, so last week Friday, March 1st, we had the official opening of the 2024 season. We are now, the Premier League is sponsored by the National Bank Group of Companies, so we are grateful for them for coming on board and partnering us in the development of football here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The President's Cup is the season opener, and it was between SL Hartsford St. Paul's United Football Club, who were the FA Cup champions from 2023, and Rams Village Superstars, who were the league champions from 2023. And so the President Cup is usually between the FA Cup winners and the league champions of the previous season. Rams Village Superstars would have won that 2-1, so they've started off the season very well by capturing the first piece of silverware winning the President's Cup.
So they're actually going back to back, and that was a replay of the best of 3 finals.
And yes.
An opportunity to prove whether or not that best of 3 finals was a fluke or a grudge match, or who was the better team.
Yes. I must say that, last season, in the best of 3 finals, those 2 teams would have given us wonderful finals. For almost every game, it was on the edge. You didn't know who was going to win. And so they set the tone for this season, and we started taking in the President's Cup. So I'm anticipating a very exciting 2024 football season.
Having started with the President's Cup, and the FA getting National Bank to come back on board and sponsor as a sponsor of your league. Could you tell us a little bit about their sponsorship?
Yeah, so the National Bank Group of Companies is back on board as the official sponsor of the Premier League. As I said, we are grateful to have them back on board. I must take this opportunity to extend gratitude to the key decision makers at the National Bank Group of Companies. They have recognized that our football is one of the most important sports product here in the Federation, and for them to be a partner will only further enhance what we're trying to do at SKNFA.
Are they sponsoring the Premier League, only the Premier and the First Division?
They are sponsoring, they are the official sponsors of the Premier League, and also, of course, they are also doing some other things, which I wouldn't want to get into details here because I wasn't involved in the contractual negotiations, but as it relates to the competitions that we organize, which are the Premier Division, First Division, Youth Leagues, Women's League, etc., the National Bank Group of Companies is the official title sponsor of the SKNFA Premier League.
And the technical center at St. Peter's.
Yeah, so yeah, they
Tell us
are.
about that.
Yeah, we have entered in agreement with them in terms of the naming rights. As I say, as that is not on the competition, I don't want to get into the specifics of that. But generally, we have entered an agreement with them, and they're gonna have naming rights to the technical center at St. Peter's.
Okay, back to the hardcore competition. How many clubs do you have in the Premier? How many do you have in the First Division?
So the Premier Division has 10 clubs, and I would like to just call them out. Bath United, Hot Springs Bath United Football Club, Flow 4G Carroll Rockets, Salt Connery FC, Skelett Garden Hotspurs, Honda Newtown United Football Club, SL Horsford, St. Paul's United Football Club, the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Peter's FC, Trafalgar South Stars, United Old Jets, and Ramsville Superstars are the 10 teams that make up the Premier League. As it relates to Division 1, we also, at this point in time, and I want to stress at this point in time, we also have 10 teams in Division 1. So at this point, we have Lodge Patriots FC, Molyneux, Pitbulls FC, Rivers of Living Water FC, Saddlers United Football Club FC, Sandy Point FC, Security Forces United FC, St. Thomas Trinity United Football Club, Tabernacle FC, also known as Mantab, and Trinity Challengers United Football Club.
What are the teams you have being promoted from the First Division and those that would have been relegated?
Yeah. So the teams that were relegated last season, we had Saddlers United Football Club. They were relegated from the Premier to Division 1. Security Forces was also relegated from Division 1, and Sandy Point Football Club. Yeah.
And is the format remaining the same,
So
or any changes?
The format has changed a bit this year for both leagues. So for the Premier League, we're going to play 2 rounds of matches with the top 4 making the playoffs. You know, last season it was the Super 6. So this season it's going to be the top 4 making the playoffs. The 2 bottom teams from the Premier League will be relegated to Division 1. As it relates to when it comes to the final 4, top 4, whatever you want to call it, the teams will play in a round-robin tournament, and then the top 2 teams after those round-robin tournament will play the best of 3 playoffs. So the major difference is for the Premier League this year is that it's no longer a Super 6, it's now a top 4 playoff, and we remain with the best of 3 finals for the top 2 teams in the Super 4, best of 4, and then 2 teams will be relegated to the First Division. It also must be noted that the 8th place team in the Premier will have to play off against the 3rd place team in the First Division as well. When it comes to the First Division, 10 teams, there will be a round robin. There will be 2 rounds of matches, so each team plays each other twice, and then the top two teams will be promoted to the Premier League. And then the third place team, as I mentioned previously, will take on eighth place team from the Premier League. So the third place in the first division will take on eighth place in the Premier Division to see who gets that final spot in the Premier Division.
Obviously, this would have been something discussed with the club, discussed and agreed with the clubs. But over the years, my view is once the champions win first, second, third, if you're going to go to promotion, you would have gone through an entire season. And we saw a case in point last year where it was Lodge Patriots, I think it was, Mantab was third. And they played Garden Hotspurs at the time, who would have been 9th, 11th, 10th, I can't remember. But they played to determine who would go up or stay down or vice versa, as the case may be. And Spurs would have beaten them, and that would have been the only game that Mantab would have lost for the season. And I am of the view that in that case, really, the 3 should have gone up and the 3 come down. I don't subscribe to the playing to see who goes up, because if you had a good season and you just have one bad match, I don't believe that should be the end of it for you. But that is just my view. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, yes, most persons in the football fraternity have the opinion on what they think the format should be. Every possible format that you can think of has its benefits, but it also have its downsides when you look at it. Like you mentioned, a team would have had a perfect season basically, and they were unable to get promoted because they had a bad match against a team in the Premier Division who wasn't having such a good season, you may say. So there are always pros and cons to which format that you utilize. I mean, we've seen it at the highest level. I don't know if you recognize that. For example, UEFA, they change the format of the competitions almost, let's say, almost every 10 years or so. Still trying to find the right balance. And commercialization is a part of it, but they're constantly trying to find the right balance and hope to appease to all clubs. And here at SKNFA, we're trying to do the same. What we intend to do is to always revisit the season, look at the ups and downs, look at the pros and cons, look at the benefits and the not so good things, and always try to come up with the best format that we think is in the best interest of football at that particular time. So as I said, I don't think there's any perfect format, as if you ask every member, everyone will have an idea of what they think the format should be, especially when it comes to promotion and relegation. Persons is going to make suggestions they think will be in the best interest of their particular club and how they see the season playing out.
Thank you very much. You're listening to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host. And this program comes to you on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. every Tuesday. And we inviting anybody to any corporate entity to come on board and partner with us in terms of the sponsorship of the program, which is necessary for the program to continue, obviously. You can call 466-9586, and our marketing department will be glad to discuss your sponsorship package with you. Or you can contact me, 668-2055. We'll be very glad to have you on board. And we have with us Mr. Jamie Claxton, the chairman of the SKNFA's competitions committee. And you can call, you can ask any question, make any suggestion, congratulate the winners, players, so far as we have been into this season. Mr. Claxton, what exactly are the duties of the competitions committee?
So the competition committee is almost like an advisory body to the SKNFA secretariat when it comes to the execution of the league. So they provide advice to the SKNFA secretariat, which will help them in terms of the execution of the various competitions. So the competition, a lot of people think the competition committee don't directly run the Premier League, run the First Division, run the Women's League. Those are done from the office, the secretariat. with the help of course, of some supporting staff. So the competition committee is here to advise and to also, when matters arise pertaining to probably discrepancies, challenges, and so then the competition committee is here to advise this NFA on how to proceed in dealing with these matters based on the parameters outlined by the rules and regulations.
When is the season expected to go down until?
The season is going to go down till about mid-July.
And what we have on the cards for the players, the teams, clubs after the season has ended? I think last year it was SL Horsford St. Paul's completing in the CONCACAF Club Championship. Are we going to be seeing that happening again with whoever the champions would be?
Yes. So, Rams Village Superstars being the champions from last season means they would have qualified for the next version of the CONCACAF Caribbean Shield as the champions here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So they are already in that tournament. So whoever wins the league in 2024, then they will qualify for the 2025 version of the CONCACAF Caribbean Shield.
And I think they would have participated sometime ago as champions.
Previously, yes, they would have participated previously. Keon would have as well. So I think those are the three.
I think Newtown would have done it way back when. Newtown may have
been way back originally. I think Newtown probably would have done the Caribbean. I think back then it was the Caribbean Club Championship.
Okay, and it's always good. We haven't been able to put up a strong showing, as strong as we would like in the past. So we're hoping that might be the case come this time. Should.
Yeah, I think, we haven't, as it's mentioned, we haven't, a lot of time when we go out regionally, internationally, the expectations are high. We haven't, as you mentioned, been as successful as we would like to be. I know Village, when they participated, I think they were eliminated by penalties or something like that. If my memory serves me right, I wouldn't have done to, but I know St. Paul's had an unexpected, I would say, bad tournament. But I think as our teams continue to go out and we get accustomed to the level of expectation in terms of what is required to participate at a level, we will see positive results in the not too distant future. I think it's a learning experience for all those who have participated so far, and it's just for them to build on that experience.
A release would have come from the SKNFA just before the start of the season, indicating some sanctions, disciplinary measures as it were, against some clubs and players. Do you want to share that information with us, please?
Well, there's a committee that deals specifically with that, that's the disciplinary and the committee. I think they would be in a better position to address the specifics of those sanctions, because I'm not in a position to. I didn't sit in those meetings. I didn't know, I wasn't aware of most of the matters that were at hand, as I've just taken on the role of competition chair. Yeah, so maybe in the future you could probably have the disciplinary committee on, or members of the disciplinary committee, to probably look at, to basically explain the process and the decisions, the process behind the decision. But what I can say, the SKNFA is trying its best to make sure that we develop a product that is worthy of viewers and so forth, not just locally, but internationally. And I know you realize that we stream the games a lot. And behavior is very important for us. If we are going to continue to attract sponsors, investors, and so forth, we must always put our best foot forward. And we cannot have a league that lacks discipline from players and even officials.
And sponsors, of course.
And so sometimes you have to draw the line, Biff. And I know you're a man who is very up on discipline. You expect discipline from all involved in whatever the field is. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be agriculture. It could be culture. It could be finance, whatever. You expect discipline.
Correct.
And so we feel that if we have a disciplined league, the product will only be better. And with a better product, we'll only attract more investors, more sponsors, And, it would just be better for the league overall. And so the disciplinary committee would have identified some infractions. They would have taken action. I say I don't know the specifics of all of the infractions or the specifics of the process in terms of how they came to the decision. But I think the idea behind it is to basically, I want to say, clean up the league. We want a very good league, a very good product. And so I think the zero tolerance policy for bad behavior was what was the driving force behind those decisions.
And I am in full support of the sanctions. And you're most correct. We must have order. We must have discipline. If we don't, it'll be extremely chaotic, and that would drive away fans from coming to look at the games. Parents, the chances are they'll discourage their children from participating because they want to protect them. They don't want to have anything to happen. And even adults, I don't want to be exposed to this sort of thing. And on top of it all, the sponsors, because the league, any competition represents the sponsors. It's a part of them. They're saying, hey, I think this is a good product. I want to associate myself with it. And ill discipline definitely cannot be a part of it. I fully support the deduction of points. So much so that for years I've been recommending that if clubs don't follow certain systems, even on game day, when you have the match countdown,
Yes.
clubs are to be in the dressing room at 20 minutes before game time, T minus 20. And some of them, no matter how much countdown you give them, no matter how much talking reminders you give them, they leave the field T minus 20. So I always argue the point, deduct 1 point if you don't get in the dressing room by that time. And were that to happen, the first time a team loses 1 point because of that, everybody else will be in there early, because we've seen 1 point determine who goes up, who goes into the premier, the best of 6 finals or best of 4 as the case may be, who get relegated. So I fully support the deduction of points. And this is not anything new. In football, we've seen it happen in, I think it's Everton this season.
Yes.
And a few years ago, Juventus in Italy, they would have lost quite a few points. And because of these deductions, we've seen clubs being relegated.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I fully support that. And in the EPL right now, there are some issues with points being deducted for various reasons. And of course, once clubs are informed early o'clock before the season, I think they'll eventually fall in line.
Yes, definitely. I also want to touch on something you would have said, and it goes back to speaking about the match countdown, the match, having the match coordinators and so forth. I think over the years, I think SNFA has tried its best to improve the operations, match the operation. The installation of match coordinators, GCs, general coordinators, match commissioners, referee assessors, and so forth, I think has been a positive, because that is the international standard now. And like you said, what we need to happen is that we need the teams to start respecting the positions of these persons and also respecting the processes and protocols behind the game. At the international level, and we've experienced it, and our senior players at the international level have now come to grips to it over the last, say, 4 to 5 years, is that if you don't follow the countdown, if you don't adhere to the protocols, there are consequences from the regional and international body. Because you're messing with not only just the match protocol, but television and all that kind of thing, broadcast and so forth. And so now we need to get our players, all the clubs, to start respecting those protocols and so forth. It's better for the overall operations of the match days. They are put in place for a specific reason. They're put in place to make sure the matches start on time. They're put in place for streaming purposes. Imagine, Mr. Mills, if you advertise that a game will commence streaming at, say, 8 o'clock. And then 10 past 8, you're still having problems getting the players out of the dressing room. It's not a good thing, especially when you have sponsors, especially when you have viewers, not just locally, but internationally. it's not a good thing. And it makes us look like we're not serious about what we are doing. And so I too think that sanctions should be put in place for teams who don't adhere to match day protocols.
I'm extremely supportive of it. And I am not certain, and again, this is just my humble view, how much the the players themselves, they really want to play football. I'll go out on a limb and perhaps say they're not too much interested in the politics of things, what you just mentioned. They want to go out and be on the pitch and playing against Village and Newtown and St. Paul's and who have you. So I believe now the onus is on the administration of the various clubs to ensure all their players understand this, and in turn, they need to have very strong disciplinary mechanisms in place to deal with those players, even if it is your strongest player.
Yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly with that. The administration of the clubs definitely have to be strong. Not only strong, but they have to be very organized. One of the things that we intend to do for the SKNFA later this season is to put on a team management workshop to try and help the managers of the team, because Mr. Mills, gone are the days when the manager is just a person who brings the ice, make sure the water is there.
Exactly.
The role has evolved significantly. Me myself, I've seen it when I started with the U20s back in 2014 to being with the senior team now. The responsibilities, the expectations have evolved significantly. In most of the larger countries, the bigger countries, like I have a good friend who's the manager of the United States, and it's a full-time job because of what the role demands. Of course, down here we can't afford to hire full-time persons, whether in the clubs. But if you are going to compete, and we always say this, if you're going to compete with other teams, a lot of times the beginning of the battle, the beginning of winning the battle happens off the field. It happens in what we call the back room, And so if teams that have great management, great administration, are usually ones that are successful. You see that in every sport across the world.
Indeed, games are won not necessarily on the field, off the field, before game time.
Yes.
And not just the preparation of the players technically, but administratively, mentally, etc., etc. It's not a case of just picking up and a selection being made. There are quite a few things that would go into a club to make sure that it is very, very successful. And even when it comes to determining the winner, when they're having their kicks, penalty kicks, when you look at some teams, you're seeing them lying down up and down the place, you get the impression that they're not going to win. They don't seem so disorganized.
Yes.
And even when how a club looks on the field, how they operate, how they dress, the uniforms, you'll say, well, boy, the other team look like they're going to win. How they organize when they're warming up, and even coming into the dressing room.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can tell a lot about a team by just looking at them even before they get on the field.
We've had some matches so far in the Premier League. Could you tell us about those, please?
Yeah, so we've had a number of matches so far. All teams would have played their first set of games. I'm just going to give you some quick scores. Just give me a second. I'm just going to give you some quick scores. So on Saturday evening, which was March 2nd, we had 4GKR Rockets coming up against development man of St. Kitts and Nevis St. Peter's FC, and the game ended 1-1. That was game one. And then also that evening, we had Under Newtown United Football Club coming up against Sol IAS Connery, and that game ended 1-0 in favor of Under Newtown. On Sunday evening, March 3rd, we had Old Road United Jets coming up against Trafalgar South Stars, and this was a goal fest with Old Road United Jets coming out on top 7 goals to 4.
Wow, 11 goals.
Yeah, so he had an 11 goal thriller on Sunday evening. So guess why they call it Super Sunday?
And
Then,
I think a few goals may have been disallowed because of offside as well.
yeah. So he could have been,
It could
he
have
could
been
have been a
more.
lot more.
Yeah.
He could have been more. He could have been more. Yeah. And then last evening, Monday Night Football, we had Rams Village Superstar defeating Hot Spring Bath United 2 goals to 0 in game one. And in game two, we saw SL Hartford St. Paul's United Football Club defeated Skellet Garden Hotspurs 2 goals to 1. So those were the games for last evening. So basically, the current point standings is Olo Jets on top with 3 points. With, of course, because the score is 7, they have a goal difference of 3, having scored 7 and conceded 4. We also have Ram Village Superstars, who also on 3 points. SL Hartford St. Paul's United also on 3 points. And Honda United Newton on 3 points. Development Bank St. Peter's FC on 1. Flow 4GK and Rockets on 1, and then all the others. Skellet Hotspurs, Sol, IS Connery, Hotspring Bar United, Trafalgar Soulstar, yet to register a point.
And in terms of the next round of matches for the Premier.
So the next round of matches, we return this coming Friday, Friday night football, which seems to be really catching on. We had a few Friday night games last season and they were well attended. And then the President Cup on Friday night gone was also well attended. Of course, it was the opening of football. So this coming Friday, and if you could give me a second to get this.
Of course, do you do? You're listening to On the Ball here at WinFM 98.9. I'm Troy Biff Mills, your host, and with me I have Mr. Jamir Claxton. He is the chairman of the competitions committee of the SKNFA. We encourage you to call in, ask a question, clarify anything, make a suggestion. 466-200989, 466-0989. Or if you're shy like me and you want to send a WhatsApp, 668-205 time. You were 55. You were saying, Jamir?
Yeah, so I was saying, so this coming Friday, we have games, just for the general public, most of the games are going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with a few exceptions. We have midweek games because of Holy Week, Easter weekend, so we won't have any games on the weekend. So this coming Friday, the 8th, we have Old Road United Jets coming up against Sol Island Otto Connery, 8 p.m. That's our Friday night football game.
You're there,
And then
sir?
you got me here. And then we have on Saturday, we have a doubleheader. We have Bath United Football Club, Hot Spring Bath United Football Club against Trafalgar South Stars. Then a big one, wow, a rematch of the President Cup, and also last year's finals, SL Hartford St. Paul's United versus Ram Village Superstars. On Sunday, doubleheader. Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis St. Peter's FC will come up against Skellet Garden Hotspurs, followed by what do you want to call it? Town Country Derby. I don't know if you want to call it that. Honda Newtown United against Flow 4GK on Rockets. So those are the games for next set of games.
You mentioned Newtown and Keon. They seem to have some chemistry between them over the years from a football point of view. We've seen some players leaving and going to either and coming back. I think one of the key strikers, I can't remember his name, he would have played for Newtown, went to Keon. I think he's back with Newtown. But there is that sort of chemistry that is happening. And what is the entrance fee for these games?
The entrance fee for most Premier League games is $20.
Even though it's it might be a single match, or does the price vary for single and double?
The price generally is $20. I know, well, for double headers, I need to confirm, but it's usually $20 per match.
In terms of, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
In terms of the first division, that was set to kick off today.
Yeah, so the first division was scheduled to kick off this evening. I haven't gotten the scores. I was trying to get any scores so far. I haven't got any scores, but tonight we should have had Molyneux coming up against Canterbury Fireballs in game one, and then game two, Challengers versus Sandy Point. Those games are being played at the Technical Center. Most of the Division One games this season will take place at the Technical Center in St. Peters.
And the Premier League would take place.
The Premier League is going to take place. The majority of the games are going to take place at Warner Park. There are three venues identified for the Premier League this season, being Warner Park, the Technical Center, and the Nevis Athletic Stadium, which everybody knows as the Mondo. Those three are the three centralized venues that we're going to lose for the Premier League this season. The majority of the games for the Premier League in the earlier rounds are going to be at Warner Park. They will actually be, we will shift to the technical center in later on rounds when we have to accommodate other events, other national events, whether it's cricket or a music festival or whatever.
There were, for want of a better word, issues last year with Bath and Games playing in Nevis and not enough, etc. Has that been fully addressed, per se?
Well, technically, it has been addressed. What has happened last year? I wasn't on the competition committee last year, but early on last season, the idea was for clubs to have games in the community. So I don't know if you recognize they were playing in St. Paul. A few community grounds were identified to have games. St. Paul's being one, Verchilds, Keon, being one, of course, the technical center and so forth. Bath, games would have been scheduled. So the venues were identified. It wasn't home and away. So it wasn't like everybody have a game at their home and also another one away. So it wasn't home and away. But those were identified. The challenge for Bath United from the discussions I would have with them, and I would have sat in the meeting as a mediator then between Bath United and the SNFA. And the challenge was that they had to play every single game in St. Kitts. And at no point in time, any team in St. Kitts would have come over at least once. So it was more of a financial issue because of the financial struggles of having to go to St. Kitts for basically all the games. So there was a meeting and a solution was sought, and they would have gotten some games over here in Nevis. Now, this season, a similar thing has been put in place where 3 venues have been identified, 3 centralized venues. So I wanted to be made clear is that it's not home and away, per se. 3 venues identified, Warner Park, the Technical Center, Nevis Athletic Stadium. It just happened that Bath is the only team from Nevis in the Premier League. And so some of the games they will get over here in Nevis.
And my heart really goes out to Bath. If we look at this year's fixture, 10 clubs in the Premier playing 2 rounds, so that's 18 games.
Yes.
And even if you did mention it's not a home and away, and I understand that, but if for whatever reason the FA decides that for the first round, let me put it another way, of the 18 matches, 9 will be played in St. Kitts for Bath and 9 in Nevis.
Yeah.
You'll have each club from St. Kitts going to Nevis, only one, though 9 clubs would go. However, Bath themselves would have to come to St. Kitts on nine times, which, like you mentioned, the transportation and buses and even meals, it's really an exorbitant task for them. And I could understand that, and I feel for them. And over the years, I big up my hat to Bath, because they may have been, if not one of, they may have been the only one to have been competing in all the competitions of the FA, be it Premier League, be it senior female league, be it in youth leagues, male or female. And that is something I'm really impressed. And I made the prediction last year that I believe this season, I expect Old Road and Bath to be in the well, we didn't know then it would have been a Final Four now, but I said last year I expect them to be in the Super 6.
Yeah.
I have a sneaky feeling we're going to see both of them in the Super 4, provided they would have continued building on what they've been doing over the years, especially last year. And I further said I expect one of them to win the championship, if not this year, next year. I guess we'll have to wait another year or two to find out if I was dreaming, living on cloud night also. Because I'm really impressed with they're playing. And Old Road, for the CONCACAF Gold Cup, was it? They had 5 players on the field at the same time for St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm not certain when last that was done for any club out of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The Nations League, yeah. I must commend both clubs. I mean, most of the clubs are there, but as I said, I must commend both clubs because just some years ago, both clubs were actually first division team. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Different teams, not even peaking at the Premier Division, not even touching the ceiling, trying to get the Premier Division. So they must be commended. The community, the persons who have led those clubs over the years, building them. Both teams are relatively young, and so both teams have a bright future.
Indeed. Before I give you a chance to repeat the games, earlier in the season, some information was going around in terms of the club licensing, and some Premier Division clubs and some First Division clubs were not included in the list to participate this year. Some of those clubs, they are actually playing this year, and some are not. Could you brief us on that position? Why that came about, how that came about, how it was resolved?
So club licensing is a mechanism that has been recommended, put in place by CONCACAF to help elevate the level of football operations here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And in order for that to happen, it's something that happens across the region, across the world. Even in the biggest leagues in the world, they have to go through a club licensing process. And it's put in place for the betterment of the football. Now, the clubs would have attended club licensing session which was facilitated by CONCACAF, and they would have been made aware of certain expectations and so forth in order to meet club licensing. In terms of adhering to club licensing, as I said, I'm not part of the club licensing process, but I've gone through the process, and I assume some would have met the requirements, some wouldn't have, and that's where you probably saw the list being published and who is on and who is not. I think the thing about club licensing, there's always an opportunity to improve in terms of it. There's always an opportunity to find out what you don't have, find out where you're falling short, and try to remedy it to ensure that you meet the club licensing requirement. And so I think, and I think most clubs probably would have, those who would have missed it, the previous deadline, I think they would have made attempts, they would have endeavored to fulfill the missing requirements. So I assume that most of them probably would have met the requirements by now or dealt with the sanctions related to not meeting the requirements.
Okay, fair enough. Jamie, and could you brief us again of the upcoming matches in the Premier next round and also the First Division?
Yeah, so well, in terms of the Premier, as I mentioned, Friday evening we have 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock. We have United Old Jets, MFCR United Old Jets versus South Island Auto Cannery. On Saturday evening, we have Hot Springs Bat United versus Trafalgar South Stars in Game 1 at 6 p.m. 8 p.m. SL Horsford St. Paul's United versus Rams Village Superstars, also at 1 o'clock. And on Sunday, we have Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Peter's FC versus Skellec Guard Hotspurs. Apologize for that. And then at 7 p.m., we have Honda Newtown United versus Flow 4G. Yeah.
And your next round of first division matches?
The next round of first division matches. First division continues tomorrow evening. I'm going to get that for you now. You have a lot of files on your phone.
You're listening to On the Ball here at WinFM 98.9. We have with us Mr. Jamie Claxton, the chairman of the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association's Competitions Committee. And we thank you so far for listening. We still have a few minutes left, and I'm going to be finishing off with a little bit of track and field and wrapping up on the cricket. Jamie, are you up?
Yeah, so the Division 1, as I mentioned, Division 1 is, we have games. We continue tomorrow, so just for the general public, the Division 1 games are played on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Midweek games that we try our best to have. Yeah, so on Wednesday evening, tomorrow's game, so the next set of games are going to be Thursday evening. I'm going to have at 6 p.m. in the Technical Center, Davis Construction Lodge Patriots versus TGE the Eagles. And at 8 p.m., Rivers of Living Water versus Security Forces, both at the Technical Center. There was one game scheduled to be played tomorrow, Wednesday 6, Manta versus Saddlers United Football Club. That match has been postponed.
And your final words, Jamie, would you want to thank your sponsors, any individuals, groups, organizations?
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank the SKNFA Executive Committee for giving me the opportunity to chair the competitions for this season. I guess they saw something in me based on my experience in football that they thought I would bring something to the table in this regard. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my committee members, Mr. Leroy Blanchett and Mr. Cuthbert Keynes. And also, finally, I want to thank our Premier League sponsor, the Development Bank Group of Companies. I also want to thank COSCAD for the distributors for Powerade and the Sunny Water in St. Kitts and Nevis. They are, I failed to mention this earlier, they are the official hydration partners of the SKNFA, and we also have, we also just entered into agreement with a health institute here in St. Kitts and Nevis, which will help us to provide coverage for our players in terms of injuries and so forth, diagnosing injuries and so forth, MRI. I don't want to give the wrong name, Biff, so that we want to.
And the sponsor of your Premier League again?
Yeah. So the sponsor is the Development Bank Group of Companies, National Bank Group of Companies, National Bank Group of Companies, the official title sponsor of the SKNFA Premier League, as I mentioned, COSCAD, distributors of Powerade and the Sunny Water, the official hydration partners of the SKNFA, and of course the Premier League, the official hydration partners of all SKNFA activities, which includes the Premier League. And then we also recently entered into an agreement with SKD MRI in terms of providing support for us in terms of diagnosing our athletes, our footballers, and so forth. So, and I think that is a revolutionary, pardon me, in terms of us taking our football to new heights. That now we have the support of an important health institute in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I want to thank those sponsors and all other sponsors who support the SKNFA, support the SKNFA leagues and competitions.
I congratulate you, Jamia, on being appointed as chairman of the competitions committee. I wish you and your competitions committee all the best. I thank you for accepting the invitation to be here on behalf of the SKNFA. And it won't be the first, the last, I assure you. It's the first, but it definitely won't be the last because the season goes down until about mid-year. So we'll be inviting you on the different elements of the SKNFA to be here with us at different points to keep us updated. We congratulate you on all the achievements so far, a successful season so far, landing a sponsorship. And we wish you and the SKNFA and the 2024 season all the best.
Thank you, Mr. Mills, and thank you for having me on this evening. I look forward to future engagements on this platform.
Thank you very much, Jamia. You're listening to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9, and we just about getting ready to wrap up. But before I do so, I wanted to finish up the cricket. I did tell you before that Windwards would have defeated Trinidad and Tobago by 2 wickets. Jamaica won by 204 runs over Barbados. The Guyana, they won by 56 runs over the Leeward Islands. That game was played down at St. Paul's. I didn't give you any in-depth scores, but Reliana Grimond from Guyana, batting at number 5, she was 37 from 66 balls with 2 fours. The key batter for the Leeward Islands, S. Hector, opening bowler, she picked up 3 for 11 from 6.3 overs with 2 maidens. Tremendous bowling. Jazara Claxton, our very own out of St. Kitts, SP, where the best be to be exact. She opened the bowling as well. 5 overs, 29 runs, 2 wickets, very good returns. And R. Liberd, she was the third change, 8.1 overs, 2 maidens, 17 runs, 2 wickets. Very good bowling there again. And needing 143 to win in all of 50 overs. The Leeward Islands, they were only able to amass 86 in 36.5 overs. And though we had 4 players getting into double figures, D. Saxana, batting at number 3, the top scorer, 19 from 86 balls with 1 4. The bowling saw Millington, and she's been around last year. Cream of the crop here, 9.5 overs, missing out on a fifer, 4 maidens, 10 runs, 4 wickets. Gosh, it doesn't really get any tighter or much better than this. And N. Latchman, she was around last year as well, 8 overs, 27 runs, 3 wickets. In terms of the games coming up, tomorrow 6th, today was a rest day. The Windward Islands will be taking on Guyana. And all games start at 10 a.m. and they're expected to go until about 4:50. Windward Islands versus Guyana at Warner Park. Leeward Islands versus Jamaica at Connery. Trinidad and Tobago versus Barbados at St. Paul's. Those are the 3 games that are on tomorrow. On Thursday is a rest day. On Friday, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Connery, Guyana versus Barbados at St. Paul's, and Windward Islands versus Leeward Islands at Warner Park. Those are the 3 venues, and they're playing one day, resting another. We encourage you to go on out and support the young ladies, because the West Indies female team will be selected from this, and we're hoping that Jazara might perform well and be included in the West Indies senior team. And the games are being streamed online, so you'll be able to look at them as well. And in terms of track and field, quickly, Thursday the 7th, there'll be 2 sports. The Beach Allen will be at Newtown Sports Complex. Cotton Thomas Comprehensive, they will be at Patsy Allers. There'll be triplets on Friday. Violet Primary Petty will be at Lodge Playing Field. Sadler's Primary will be at Sadler's Playing Field. And the Tucker Clark Primary will be at Newtown. Saturday night, we're going to be seeing St. Paul's Primary at the St. Paul's Sporting Complex. Carifta Trials happening on Saturday night at Nevis Athletic Stadium. Sunday 10th, Keon High at Molyneux Playing Field. Virtuals High at Virtuals Playing Field. The TDC Inter-School Championship, again, that's happening Thursday 14th and Friday 15th here in St. Kitts Kim Collins Stadium for the throws. And then we'll have the track events Saturday 16th, Sunday 17th, March at the Mondo Track in Nevis. Friday 22nd to Sunday 24th will be the Rams Primary School Championships down in SP, where the best be Sandy Point. We encourage you to go on out. A lot of excitement has been happening, and these athletes, they have been performing well. I thank you for listening to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. It has been my pleasure bringing the program to you, and we encourage you to join us again next week, Tuesday, from 7 o'clock, when we are going to be bringing you another edition of On the Ball again. I thank my producer, Jamster, for being with me again here tonight. And we again appeal to the corporate community to come on board and be the title sponsor, partial sponsor of the program Win FM on the ball. It is necessary to keep the program on the air. Dial 466-9586 and our marketing department will be able to sit with you and work out a sponsorship package, go through your details with you, or you can give me a call. WhatsApp me even 668-2055. Again, I am Troy Biff Mills. I thank my guest, Mr. Jamie Claxton of the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association, Gavin and Sean of the St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Basketball Association, Zeke Percival for his report, and inviting you to tune in again next week, Tuesday, 7 to 9. All the listeners, thank you. And as I slip away, always be positive in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.